This is drivers protesting in Kenya. I mean, drivers on ride-hailing platforms like Uber and Bolt protesting in Kenya, demanding for the common things, the pricing and how they want these platforms to treat them, So the protest came into with two demands. They want to be included in Uber and Bolt's pricing decisions. Like, you can't just make decisions without contacting us or our union, because they feel that many things are not put into consideration in the pricing. And they also address the issue of tax. So Chimgozirim, this is a very recurring issue, right? Every other day, Lagos State ride-hailing drivers in Lagos State come up with one thing or the other with their union, the requests they are making, how they want the government to interfere and all. Why is this making the news again? Why are they always coming up with this? What puts them in this situation? How does Uber and Bolt see these riders that makes them not to be able to have access to some of these things they regularly request for?
So that sounds like three questions in one. So where do we start from now? Okay, so maybe we'll start from why is it making the news?
Yeah.
Because it happened.
It's not everything that happened that makes the news, This has to be interesting for it to make the podcast.
Okay, so why did it make the podcast? Maybe I'll explain why I decided or why I thought it should make the podcast. So this is, like you said, it's a recurring conversation. Drivers want to make more money. Uber says if we charge customers more money, we could alienate our customers. And then drivers are saying, no, we are the ones doing the work. We're just providing a platform. I mean, everybody's shouting. Nobody's exactly listening to each other. So that's one reason. And but I guess the bigger reason I wanted us to have that conversation is, so you have a situation where there are two parties with different incentives, with different risks, like where I say risk that comes with the operations. So on one hand, Uber, Bolt, InDrive, LagRide, all the drives, like their business model is simple. I mean, marketplace. You come, you find a rider or you find a driver, and then we just provide the technology to locate each other and ensure that you're safe while you're on the trip. On the other hand, you have the drivers who are like the workers. They come there to find riders. Now, Uber has to ensure that it's always in business, and it's the way their business works is if there are no riders, it doesn't matter how many drivers you have. For the drivers, they could probably decide that they want to go offline and go find riders some way. But for Uber, if they are too expensive, users will most likely not use them. And we've seen how like ride-hailing prices have gone up in Nigeria now since the fuel subsidy was taken away. We've seen ride-hailing prices go up, and already it would be interesting to look at Uber's back end or Bolt's back end, like to just see whether they've seen a drop, no matter how significant or how insignificant it is. So yeah, it's a problem that keeps on coming up. And one of the reasons why I think this keeps on coming up is the drivers want to be seen as employees.
Which is a fight that they might never win.
I don't even think they might never win it. I think they will never win it. And the reason is simple. Uber isn't incentivized to make you a worker. Yeah, so I think in Nigeria, they're probably, I think Bolt should have about 100,000 drivers. Do you really want to take on 100,000 people? And then
who are probably using other platforms.
Yeah, exactly. Good point, actually. So now, as an employee, of course, I could be doing more than one job, but my employer doesn't know. But most of the time, you have just one job, and that person is obligated to provide you with certain benefits.
Exactly.
If I do that to an Uber driver, what it also means, maybe they've not thought about this bit, is all the money you make will automatically go to Uber, and they perhaps place you on a certain salary.
Exactly.
So you lose some of the freedom that you have as a gig worker, where I know that if I work maybe 12 hours where another person works 8 hours, I would definitely make more money. But now the company could say, okay, fine, you want to be an employee, fine. You do not get, like, customers get to pay directly to us, and then we pay you what we feel is a fair fee. So if they want to be employees, because it's only in the gig economy that we see this kind of relationship between the person who is like employer and then the employed.
Yeah.
So I don't know that is the best thing for the riders themselves, even though they keep on agitating for benefits that are typically ascribed to employees. I do not know that that's the best thing for them, because, well, maybe on certain months you could do your 400k, maybe even more than that. But if you're placed on a salary, there's no, except in cases of maybe earning overtime, you're unlikely to like make the mad money that you expect. So I don't know that's the best thing for them, and I do not expect any of the ride-hailing players to like bow to these demands, except there is a regulatory nudge, or maybe the regulator says, "Oh, you must look at them as employees," and even then, I fully expect them to fight back.
Yes. So, as it's where it seems or it appears that the only way these gig workers can be protected is to find a way to make sure that the labor laws of that country, of that land, find a way to include gig workers, or in the list contract workers, find a way to protect them in the labor laws. If not, there's only so much you can do to hold these technology companies accountable,
Yeah,
because
so
they will keep saying it's just the tech we are providing.
Yeah, so and since you're just talking about laws, regulations, and all of that, the truth is, one reason we have this problem is our labor laws, especially in Africa, we are not developed in fact, globally, our labor laws were not developed at a time when gig working was a thing. So all of these dynamics were not taken into consideration when they were being created.
Yeah.
Which I think leads us to a different conversation. Do we need to start reviewing labor laws?
Of course, to
ensure that we are
fit into-
accommodating
yes,
certain
fit into what is
people?
going
Because
on. Yes.
one of the things a lot of employees get or love about having a 9 to 5 is the benefits that come with it. But if you are going to increasingly see people do freelance roles, then perhaps we need to evaluate what our labor laws look like. And here's the thing, it's not just ride-hailing drivers here. It's going to extend to
Everyone in
everyone
the gig
in the gig economy. So I think it's a call for us to really start looking at our labor laws in Africa. How do we evolve our labor laws to meet the needs of today's market, or today's like basically to meet our context today? So yes, it's something that we should start thinking about. I don't know who leads this conversation.
I think these unions are in the best position to get this conversation started.
Unfortunately, they are always fighting the wrong battles. Is it that they are trying to launch a new ride-hailing app? I don't know whether they think that it's so easy to launch a ride-hailing app, but they're always doing things that when you look at it, you're like, do you guys know that this doesn't really work in your favor? But yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, maybe they would definitely have a role. I think that's something they should do.
Because when these protests or these agitations happen, they are at the forefront of it. They are the ones that speak to the press about their demands. And Uber and Bolt, the best thing you can do is to boycott their services in your location. But people's livelihood are based on it, so you can hardly boycott it.
Exactly. You've seen how it works in Nigeria now.
So just go to the right quarters. Make sure that there are legislations that address you and put you in a good place, right? And also liaise with other gig workers in the creator economy, and find a way to come up with suggestions or proposals that will favor you, especially when it comes to enjoying employee benefits. But interestingly, there are solutions that have come up that gig economy worker can use to put themselves in the same space as employees. Like there are platforms that you can use to secure yourself for HMO or pension, or if you want to pay your tax, everything. Those platforms are available. One comes to mind, I think Flans. I don't know if they do that, still do that. That you will just do you will like
get the same benefits.
Yes, you get the same benefits
as
an employed person. So if you want those benefits, right, just enroll on those kind of apps and platforms and get it going.
Probably the gig work providers, the likes of Uber, for example. I don't know what a partnership between them and startups like that look like as well. That could be something that goes some way to fix this issue. So maybe a partnership between both parties, right?
Yeah.
That might help.
So aside from that, I think the valid thing that I can see here is the pricing, right? The pricing is always an issue that keeps recurring, especially when the economic situation is unstable.
Yeah.
So you want to, if you have your own business, you try to fix the price in a way that will favor you whenever the economy is the way it is. But it doesn't happen. It seems it doesn't happen like that with this platform. So these agitations probably calls the country managers' attention to it, that okay, we need to review the prices that is going on here, because these people need to be able to make a living. Things are costly in the market. They need to be able to afford things. So we need to review how much you charge. Although these companies might not want to review the commissions. That one, I don't know if they touch it.
They most likely would not be very willing to review.
So it is coming
commissions
to the users.
Yeah. So the thing is, even if you review prices, but the thing is, you review price to the point where people are willing to pay. So for the most part in Africa, and this is why I think it's harder for maybe the African players here. Here's the thing. Let's say you live on the mainland and you have to go to the island for any reason. Okay, let's say you only do 4 trips in a week, right?
An average.
On average, it's going to cost you anywhere from 9,500 to 12,000 naira for just one trip.
One leg of the trip.
Yeah, just one leg of the trip. Now, let's go with 10,000 naira, right? And you have to do this 8 times. That's 80,000 naira. Our minimum wage is what? 30,000. I hear people have a new minimum wage until we see someone get it as a lot before we agree. But if you spend even half of that, 40,000 naira in a week, the vast majority of Nigerians cannot
afford that.
So if I am the one setting the price at a ride-hailing company, I'm thinking, what price do I need to, how high can I go before I completely chase away all my customers? So it's a consideration that
the balance.
Yeah, well, yes, you should find a balance, but I don't know. It's going to be. I don't want to be in the position of anyone who has to set these prices, because it's tricky, really. Yeah,
it might not favor some parties at some point. So they have to find a way around it, because give it 1 or 2 weeks, it's a protest in another country, or an agitation in another country.
To listen to the full episode of this podcast, visit podcast.techpoint.africa or search for Techpoint Africa Podcast on your favorite podcast platforms.